Hey everyone, welcome back to another recap podcast from SNXweave, where we give quick weekly recaps of news and important updates from the previous week from the Spartan Council and core contributors, as well as discuss what the Grants Council and ambassadors are up to. So let's get started. Futures Beta is live on Optimism. You can now trade ETH, BTC, and Link perpetual futures with up to 10x leverage on Quenta's dedicated trading UI. The SIP for futures, which was originally created back in August of 2020, went out late last week on the DIFTA release, along with SIP 213 to add Aave and Unisynth to Optimism. While SIP 165 for the debt pool synthesis was supposed to go out on this release, it has been delayed and will be out by the end of this week. SIP 165 will merge the debt pools across all chains that Synthetix is deployed on, tracking the total synth debt with a Chainlink oracle. Having both debt pools synthesized into one will help pave the way for synth teleporters to allow transfers of synths between chains. Once implemented, this will make it easier to migrate debt from L1 to L2, as opposed to the former system that required users to burn all debt on L1 before moving it over to L2. This release will mark the completion of 3 huge milestones Synthetix set for 2022, and it's only March. In other exciting news, it's election time for Synthetix. Since V3GM is not going to be ready in time for this election round, we're going old school one more time. So if you'd like to run for Spartan, Treasury, Grants, or Ambassador Council positions, please nominate yourself in the appropriate nominations channel before March 25th. Be sure to include your wallet address and a brief pitch to your candidacy as well, and tag Andy so he can add your details to the Google Sheet. If you're planning to run for Spartan Council, be sure to nominate yourself by tomorrow, Wednesday, March 23rd, if you'd like to participate in the Spartan Council election panel, this time being held live in the governance stage. Be sure to tune in at 2000 UTC to hear our Spartan Council incumbents and candidates speak to their candidacy and debate community questions. Shifting back to SIP updates, now that futures and the debt pool synthesis are out, priorities are being shifted towards V3. Noah has already moved over to V3 and DB will likely be moved over next week. Currently, work is ongoing for synth teleporters as the team has been trying to come up with the best possible solution. The Cross-Chain Interoperability Protocol, CCIP, is still a few months away, so teleporters are still really in the feasibility stage while they decide how to proceed. The council also had a discussion regarding the die wrapper SIP, which ultimately led to differing views and a 5-3 vote in favor for SIP 210. We'll likely get to hear more in-depth thoughts from the Spartan Council candidates regarding this SIP during the panel tomorrow. Lastly, the Spartan Council discussed the stats page, with DB raising the question of whether or not the stats page should be made the official Synthetix dashboard. He also brought to light an issue with it where only the top 1,000 stakers can be measured, which means the final figures might be about 3% off. Caleb said having some stats would be better than having none, so they will likely go ahead with it, but add a disclaimer to emphasize the fact that the stats might be off by as much as 3%. And speaking of the stats page, that brings us to our Grants Council news. On the design front, the team is very happy with how the design of the stats page is coming along. The designer has been very responsive and is working closely with the Grants Council to make sure delivery is exactly what they envision. The idea of this stats page is to provide a landing page with high-level stats with a link to a Grafana dashboard where users can really drill down and find more specific data. The team will be meeting with the designer again this week for another follow-up. In more exciting news, the tool site has been published and shared in the Discord. Check out our blog for a link to the site. In their post, the Grants Council also asked the community to help them refine and improve the content of the site. So if you have an idea for specific tools or packs, want to help write the descriptions for them, or can help create custom icons, please reach out. Lastly, as for the ongoing NFT project, the lore development is still in progress and the team is working through some different iterations with the designer. CT said at the current rate they could be looking at a release date around the end of next epic, so stay tuned. And that's it for today's updates. Be sure to check out our weekly recap blog post, share this podcast link, and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear more about from SNXweave. Thanks for listening.